So it's dun, dun, dun. Right, dun, dun, dun. Is this what you have to do to be famous on the internet now? Back in my day, you had to be really good at Flash or know Connie from AOL. It's Tom Campbell from Isolation Station 24601 with some wrestling news. A WWE superstar's injury may be career-ending. We have an update on WWE's plans to run shows with fans once again, and why an ex-NXT star got called up by Vince McMahon personally. We'll get to that in a bit. So one person that we haven't seen much of on WWE TV, at least in a wrestling capacity, is Ember Moon. Back in September, she suffered an Achilles tendon injury during a chase sequence for the 24/7 championship. Of all the ways to get injured, that one is pretty gutting, and it gets more so. She was on backstage last night talking about her mindset and talking about her injury. Ember Moon says, "I look back at my career in WWE and I've been here for 5 years. The more and more I sit back and look at everything I've done and would redo, I think about my injury currently, realizing that I may have a career-ending injury. I'm coming back from the hardest injury, and I might not have a chance to redeem myself of all the things I wanted to do and I want to do in my future. It is so hard to think back and regret when I try to look forward. I want that opportunity to not look back, but to look forward and be better than ever before. I hope that I do get a chance to have more matches. I'm going to prove to you guys that I'm worth redeeming those mistakes and those regrets. It's just going to be a while before I do so." Quite an emotional speech from Ember Moon regarding her current status. Ember Moon really came into the WWE with a lot of fire in 2016 when she debuted on NXT TV. Really felt like something special, the whole presentation of Ember Moon. She's a phenomenal performer as well. She had an incredible series with Asuka. Genuinely thought she was going to be the one to end Asuka's undefeated streak back then, but it didn't come to pass. Ember Moon would win the NXT Women's Championship after Asuka forfeited it, but then would lose it to Shayna Baszler a few months later. But then it would look great for Ember Moon because then the night after WrestleMania, she debuted on Monday Night Raw and she went to SmackDown and did really a whole lot of nothing, really, with the exception of a match against Bayley at SummerSlam. It's kind of been, it hasn't really got going for Ember Moon on the main brands, and I'm hoping that this story is inaccurate. I hope that we look back on this news video and go, whoa, that was a blunder, us leading with career ending, because there's Ember Moon as NXT or WWE Women's Champion again. Like, that'd be nice, but we send our best wishes to Ember Moon. Brilliant finisher. Honestly, how do you improve a Stone Cold Stunner? Do it off the top rope. Job's a good one. When will we see live crowds at a WWE event again? We've had an update on this from WrestleVotes, who are normally pretty on the money with stuff like this. They say on Twitter, "I've asked a source for an update on live events returning. Status quo as of now. The plan remains to return to live audiences when permitted, which then depends on each state. Still a tricky situation. I wouldn't hold my breath for anything prior to July. Status quo as of now," which either means we're going to continue having no crowd in attendance from the Performance Center, or at some point we're going to get a live performance of Down, Down, Deeper and Down. I'll let you decide. The live crowd, I genuinely think, or the lack thereof, of the live crowd is really affecting the ratings. That's a big part of what's been going on ratings-wise as of late in WWE. We saw the ratings jump back up last week. Kind of felt like that we were coming out of a dip, and then we suddenly find ourselves back in a valley once again. Ratings out for Monday Night Raw that show that 1.7 million overnight viewers, which is down by a fairly substantial amount from last week. This is now, this Monday just gone, now the second lowest watched episode of Raw in history outside of holiday shows. Obviously, you know, those are always a bit lower generally, but non-holiday shows, second lowest ever. This is a worry. The first 2 hours did the same, pretty much. The third hour with a King Corbin Drew McIntyre main event just fell over. I'm maybe biased. I don't want to put that down to Drew. I want to put the weight of that on Corbin's shoulders. I do think that all jokes aside, that the ambience in the Performance Center is what is affecting some of these numbers. I think it's difficult to watch wrestling at the moment. Obviously, it's our job here at Cultaholic to watch wrestling, so we do, and there is some good stuff happening around it, but I miss the energy and the passion from a live crowd, and I know that any wrestler worth their salt feels the same. So for WrestleVotes to be talking about status quo for now, but looking back to July, certainly feels optimistic. WWE certainly feel that way as well, because a list of pay-per-views for the rest of 2020 has emerged. And it shows that from July, they're looking to host Extreme Rules in San Jose, California. 23rd of August, SummerSlam still down for Boston. 20th of September, Clash of Champions in Newark. Hell in a Cell in Atlanta in October. They're still down a Saudi Arabia show for November. Dallas will host Survivor Series and Chicago will host TLC. But of course, this can change on a spin of the wheel based on everything that is going on in the world. So I'm just giving you the information that WWE.com has now. I'm sure they are optimistic to get back to live crowds at events by July if they can. One of those involved on Monday Night Raw this past week quite prominently was Bobby Lashley. They look like they're pairing Bobby with MVP, and there are plans for Bobby to take on Drew McIntyre at Backlash in June. First time on WWE soil these two have met. They had a belter of a match for TNA/Impact Wrestling a few years back. I'm sure that match will be uploaded to their YouTube channel very soon. You'll be able to watch it for yourself. It behooves them to do so. But Alex McCarthy of TalkSport asked the question to Bobby Lashley about that match with Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. This is something that has been rumbled about for quite some time, a clash between Lesnar and Lashley. And Lashley says, I don't know what the situation is, I don't know what the case is, but I do believe eventually it will happen before Brock and I are senior citizens. I think eventually the dots will be connected. I think right now, with the right people in the right places, I think a lot of really big things could be happening. No reason why we couldn't see that match happen on WWE TV sooner rather than later. Bobby also talks a lot about his match coming up with Drew McIntyre, who says Drew is a Brock Lesnar. I think a matchup with Drew is just as exciting as Brock to me if done right. They've already had a go at it. If they improve on that, then we're all winning. Bobby Lashley, but not Bobby Lashley. Lio Rush. We've said a lot about Lio Rush in the last couple of weeks. Not all great stuff, but it's nice to share a positive story about Lio Rush right now. In particular, him sharing a story about how his call-up came to happen from NXT to the main roster. It is still kind of a call-up, innit? Kind of. Let's not get into that discussion now. Life's too short. He was speaking to Fightful about this. Lio Rush talked about an incident which saw him get called up from NXT. Quote, there was one time where I posted a promo and it was up for about 5 minutes before they told me to take it down. It was when I was doing a program with Noam Dar on 205 Live. I was doing some skits with him and we did one where we were in the bathroom. He walked up to the urinal and he was using the bathroom, and then there was just that behind shot of me just walking up to the next urinal, peeking over and laughing. He would look over and start joking, but it was pretty funny, but they told us to take it down. There was one person, although it was only up for 5 minutes, there was one person who saw this skit, basically jokes about the size of your love length. That was Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Lio Rush goes on to say, ironically enough, this is why I got put on Monday Night Raw, because of those promos. Vince McMahon actually saw them. He saw them on the internet and contacted whoever and said, hey, we need to get this guy on Monday Night Raw, which is so cool. Lio Rush, by appointment of Vince McMahon, that would count in wrestling surely as by royal appointment of Vince McMahon, getting called up to Monday Night Raw. I like to think that Vince saw the urinal one and went, that's some good, I can't swear on YouTube. You know what I'm saying. That'll do it for your Cultaholic Wrestling news for today. If you don't already, can I ask you to subscribe to the Cultaholic podcast, wherever you get your podcasts from. We do daily wrestling news podcasts there. We do reviews of classic wrestling shows. We do watch-alongs of classic pay-per-views. And we do weekly episodes of Desert Island Graps. You may have seen some of the lads being interviewed by me. Feels like a bit like a psychiatrist type interview, but we talk about wrestling as well. We do them every week on the podcast podcast in audio form, and you can check out a brand new episode of Desert Island Graps a little bit later on today on the Cultaholic podcast feeds. Just search Cultaholic wherever you get your podcasts from. You can get them from there. All right, okay, I've noticed now that the other video has appeared, and now I'm in this square, and it's telling you to subscribe and stuff. So I guess that means I need to go. Guess you're going to watch that one next. Looks quite good, that. You know what? I ain't going to leave yet. Not going to leave yet. Just going to let this hang for a little longer. All right, I'm going now. I'm bored. Love you, bye.